What's going on, YouTube world? Back. We haven't done like a real vlog style like in a while, but moving forward, in one particular video that I have coming up that's showcasing kind of a tournament, you'll see more of this. But yeah, so part of what's in the trunk right now is still tournament stuff, so it's gonna be a ball that I want to look at here a little bit later. But we're going to be looking at the Brutal Collision versus the Hellcat. Again, I still think one of the best names in bowling. We're definitely going to get back to hopefully DV8 comes out with a pearl of this, like a pearl or a hybrid, another little brighter color. I think it's going to go over really, really well with that. But yeah, so I'm going to be taking a look at the Brutal Collision today versus this one. I don't have an original Collision. A lot of people really liked it. But yeah, that's what we're going to check out today. All right, so I'll check you guys inside. What's going on, YouTube world, man? Today we're going to be looking at the DV8 Brutal Collision, and it has the new HK22 cover stock, and I'm just, again, really excited to see this solid version of what we've seen out of the 3D attack and the top speed. Like, this has to be good, and so I think there's no better time to do a Brunswick versus Storm thing than like these two big, really strong, solid covers. And I'm going to put the Brutal Collision back at a rougher surface. Same thing with the Supernova. And yeah, man, we're gonna see how them boys stack up. Initially, again, I'm going to throw the Brutal Collision out of box so you can see it with the compound and how the company designed it to do. But yeah, then once we adjust that surface, we're gonna compare it to the Supernova. Again, I love seeing this type of stuff. I know a lot of people do. So we're gonna go with it. We're gonna see what happens. So again, I'm gonna start with the Brutal Collision out of box, and then we're gonna change the surface. Oh wow. That stood up and hooked a lot. So because I have thrown a little bit on this lane already, it's gonna force me a little bit right. Oh God. It's a lot of hook, a lot. This compound on it is very, very responsive. Give it some room. I laid off. Man, I think that was more me than a ball, but we'll see. I'm gonna keep throwing it, see what happens. Oh, got around that one. Ooh, 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 ooh. Again, it's a lot of hooks, especially when I get around the ball. So, something to keep in mind. If you're looking for the biggest and baddest ball in the market, I think this is kind of where it's at, especially with this compound on it for house shots. See it? It's definitely hooking the box. So again, all my people up north that see a lot of volume, this is gonna be one of those balls that you just have to pick up, like just point blank. So I'm gonna throw probably a couple more shots with it, and then we're gonna get into the Hellcat first, actually, because I want to see the Hellcat go down the lane comparatively, especially once I adjust the surface. So we're gonna go there. We're gonna start, again, we're gonna get about 4 or 5 more shots with the Collision, then we're gonna go to the Hellcat, then we're gonna get to the Supernova. Move left, stand right. This ball is pretty good. See it? Bang. probably just not really in play right now. No oil over there. Hellcat, again, from people who haven't seen it lately, it's like the Obsession Tour of the DV8 brand. A little smoother, can control the pocket, and especially when you compare it to what this Brutal Collision is, it's definitely a step down. So again, for me, if you're in a higher friction, a higher rev rate, lean towards the Hellcat over this Brutal Collision. I'm not telling you not to get it, but I'm saying if you want a ball that you can actually use a little more frequently, the Hellcat is it. Man, you suck. Every ball can't be perfect. Speed, turn over, and the Brutal Collision. First shot. The Brutal Collision to be a hair slower now because it's seeing a lane just that much faster. Try to get around this one. Yep, there she goes. I'm putting it in all that friction, so it's just burning up a little bit. Not surprised. I think when I throw the Brutal Collision, it may do the same thing. We're going to see. I haven't thrown this ball at this lower grip before, so I'm curious to see the ball reaction. So again, I'm going to try to keep it from directly into the friction, keep it in the oil, see what happens. Better shot. Okay. Shaped pretty good, especially for a really big ball. It's not bad at all. In that little zone, not throwing it all the way to the right, keeping it a little more in the friction. The ball's rolling up really, really good. So let's go and jump and see what the Brutal Collision does now with this added surface. Because before the compound, it was very, very responsive. So if I had to guess, it's going to be a hair slower. This first shot might hook out of Wazooka, but I think once we keep throwing it, it should smooth out a little bit. Yeah, first shot. Oh God. I feel like it's just reading the lane that much faster and just continuing. Like it's still seeing the friction. And this is part of what I'm getting very, very curious to see is how that HK22 cover stock base formula will continue to translate, because this is like a faster big ball. Like it sees the lane just as fast up front and just keeps darting. So I'm gonna move back left and see if it starts to slow down, or does it keep seeing a spot and just going left, checking up. So let's see what happens. Ball looks very, very impressive. If I was to bring a big ball, like, the Collision is really it. Go. up out of it, didn't have the fingers in it. That shot. Try one more time. So this lane was kind of beat up, so the following shots are going to be shot on lane 2, and again, it's fresh oil, so you're going to get kind of my concluding thoughts. And again, as I've adjusted the surface now, like these are still just with the adjusted. I didn't put any compound back on the brutal collision. So with the surface, it just makes the ball see it just faster, sees the front of the lane just that much quicker. And then I didn't see a lot of loss of energy. Like when I just did something wrong with my hand, yeah, but the ball still hooks a ton even with the surface on it. And again, as you could see the comparison shots, you're not going to see any Hellcat, just the Supernova moving forward. It was just, again, it's a lot more ball. The NEX Storm, like it just lane shines and it just gets really smooth and really forward, where again, the brutal collision, it's not quite the case. It still has a lot of energy, still trying to go left. A lot of these shots, because of, again, I'm going from a lane that's been transitioned to something that has a lot cleaner back ends, it just made me have to do different things. So just being completely honest and transparent. So I did run to a couple 10 pins, and part of that, maybe the surface run out of a little gas, but nothing in comparisons to what that Supernova really looked like. So yeah, man, as we kind of conclude, I still have the brutal collision as being probably the strongest ball I've thrown, period. Like, is that front to back and side to side strong? Like, I don't think there's a ball in the market that is similar to this. Supernova is that for Storm. You know, it's this really early, really strong ball. I think the reality is probably gonna be a little more side to side strong. I haven't thrown that ball, but hopefully, you know, over the course of, you know, the next couple months, I'll be able to get my hands on that one, because I have to believe another reality is going to come. I don't think the reality check was that. I think for some people liked it. I think for the tough and on sports shot conditions, the slower, rollier ball looked amazing. But for me on house, it just wasn't my favorite ball reaction. But yeah, man, I think all in all, this is the top of the top, and the brutal collision. If you need something, you know, you don't have as much hand as myself, or you face a lot of oil, this is the ball. Until next time, guys.